G'day guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to my NRL Brisbane Broncos season review. And let me just say, in round one, when the Broncos led Parramatta 16 points to nil to start the year, I started to shit myself. I didn't know what to expect for the Broncos, but didn't expect much. I think they were a little bit unlucky, especially towards the back half of the season to finish as low as they did. But we're going to be getting into the highs, the lows, and obviously the big talking point of Adam Reynolds coming to the Brisbane Broncos next year. But there's also some other players on the way, so let's get into the Broncos season review. Well, lots of teams had their fair share of injury, but I think the Brisbane Broncos were definitely missing Tony Staggs, a huge loss for most of the season. But look, let's get into this. I mentioned that they led Parramatta 16 points to nil. Parramatta managed to stage a comeback in round one against the Broncos, 24-16, but what a first half effort from the Broncos. Big things expected of them, especially playing that well, not beating one of the arguably heavyweight sides coming into the competition. Parramatta were expected to be around that top four, ended up finishing in sixth. And I had us lower as well, but a lot of people had Parramatta top four. In round two, against their little brother, the Gold Coast Titans, a loss 28 points to 16. The Titans actually blew the Broncos out in this game, but Broncos with some late tries ended up making it a bit closer than the game should be before they got their confidence win against the Bulldogs, keeping them to nil like other teams did, 24 points to nil. Now, one thing they did in 2020, and they did it once again in 2021, was change their halves. It happened so much, and we saw Anthony Milford, who will be leaving the club, which we'll speak about later, get quite a bit of time on the sideline. In round four, they scored the first try via Xavier Coates against the Melbourne Storm, but they were flogged at Amy Park, 40-6. They looked good for the most part, starting really nice signs early on before some bad losses. 6 points scored against both the Storm and the Rabbitohs, and the first 2-point field goal in the NRL conceded in that game as well in round five, before a tussle with the Panthers where it was the Broncos going down to the Panthers 20-12, but pretty good fight from Brisbane. Well, Parramatta decimated the Broncos 46-6 in round seven, and this fired them up where the Titans played the Broncos at Suncorp. They've got a great record there, the Titans, and look, they were a team a lot of people expected to make the eight, and obviously in the back half of the season, they made it. But in this game, they lost to Big Brother, the Brisbane Broncos, in the game, 36 points to 28. A great game from Tyson Gamble. Great game from Herbie Farnworth. We'll speak about him more, but I thought he had an absolutely outstanding season. And this gave him a lot of confidence. Back-to-back Queensland games. They've beaten the Titans. Can they beat the Cowboys? Normally they do. The Cowboys starting to get some wins against the Broncos in recent years, but I think the Broncos, for the most part, have the wood over the Cowboys. Let me know if I'm wrong. But a 19-18 victory for the Cowboys sees them win off a Valentine Holmes field goal, one of their only wins of the season, unfortunately, for the Cowboys. The Broncos were smashed by another Tom Trbojevic. So we saw how good Tom Trbojevic was coming back into that Manly side. And look, it was magic round, so we got some Tom Trbojevic magic, and unfortunately, Sea Eagles decimating the Broncos. Now, the Broncos, one of their best victories of the season, and I think that they did really well in this game. I thought the refereeing went their way for the most part, but definitely full credit to this side. I thought they turned up, played a great game of footy, and it was Jake Friend's farewell game in the NRL, so that was a little bit disappointing for Roosters fans. But at the SCG, it was the Brisbane Broncos walking away with an 18-point win over the Roosters, 34-16. Well, we go to round 13 where the Broncos went down to the Dragons, 24 points to 52. Massive victory for St. George Illawarra. The Broncos, they were competing, just attacking back every opportunity they get, turning it into points off Dragons' terrible defense. It was Jack DeBellin's return game in the NRL. I was at this game. I'm pretty sure it was raining for the most part as well. And the Broncos go down, but not without a fight. So, look, I thought they were okay in this game in round 13, just not good enough in the end. They did score the first try of the match, got that early lead, but let it go. In round 14, they lost to the Raiders. I was at this game as well with Clarkie's NRL column. Go and check out the vlog. 38 points to 16 in favour of the Raiders. It was a bit of a coin flip game. Both sides were very out of form. The Raiders arguably are losing some games at home, needed to win this, and that's what they did. In round 15, it was the Rabbitohs beating the Broncos 46 points to 0. This was one of the lowlights for the Broncos. They started to look like they were showing signs of improvement, and they just conceded 46 points. And you know what? In round 16, when they play the Sharks, that's exactly why I tipped them. I thought they were playing some good footy. They got embarrassed, and the Sharks were a really up and down side. So I tipped Brisbane to win. I said I was confident the Broncos will win 1-12. It was the Broncos pulling off a victory in round 16, 26-18. And I think this is where the Broncos started to learn that they can play some better footy than they have been this season. Now, although I think they had a great back half of the season, I was very disappointed with the Broncos being up 18 points to 10 against the Tigers at half-time in round 18. It was the Tigers winning 42 points to 24, a big victory for the Tigers up there at Suncorp. And I think the Broncos, everything was going their way. I just think they lost a bit of momentum. Things started to slip, some poor execution of attack, poor errors. And we saw that the back half of the season was really good for them. They almost managed to beat the Premiers, the Penrith Panthers, going down in that game 18 points to 12, very close, tight tussle. They flogged their Queensland rivals, the North Queensland Cowboys. I mentioned that they've got the wood over them in recent years, and they won that game 37 points to 18. They played very good against Newcastle in round 21, but they ended up losing the game by 8 points. Look, this game here in round 22, I arguably think that they were pretty close to getting robbed, the Broncos. A lot of things didn't go their way. Played a very impressive game of footy in round 22, and they only lost the game by 1 point before a 2-point victory against the Warriors. Very, very good game, this one. Well, as we get into their final games of the season, they go down to the Sharks, 24 points to 16, and finish off the season with a nice win over an understrength Newcastle side, 35 points to 22 to end the season. So look, that back half of the season, there were some impressive signs. As for the players, though, I can't go past Payne Haas and Herbie Farnworth. I'm just getting up their stats now, but Herbie Farnworth is just getting better and better week in, week out, and contributed so much to this side in 2021, having a great season with 11 goals kicked, 3 tries scored, 56 tackle breaks, 7 try assists. He's doing all the work that a halves does. His tackle efficiency with 250 of 90.7 and almost 3,000 run meters. Played most games for the season. Very, very consistent season from Herbie Farnworth. But in their forward pack, they lost David Fifita. They needed forwards to stand up. And Flegler stood up for me, but he wasn't their best player. Of course, it was Payne Haas. His first try of the season came, and his only try, against the Roosters in that game. His tackle efficiency was 97%, amazing tackle efficiency, and 3,300 run meters, 10 offloads in the season, 68 tackle breaks. He's a workhorse, a wrecking ball. I can't wait to see him around a different side next year. All right, Broncos fans, it's time to get excited because I honestly think that 2022 will be a year to remember. Now, I'm not saying that you'll be top 4, and I'm not even saying you'll be top 8, but early prediction, I think the Broncos will be around that top 10 side. I think they're in for a really good year. They've recruited really well, especially with their depth. Players like Ryan James, who have played with multiple clubs, an absolute workhorse, does the job, can play in the middle, can play off the bench. It's a great signing. Kurt Capewell, he's now a premiership winner. We've seen how good he is in the back row. And what about Origin during the centres? It's an awesome signing. You've got Billy Walters coming from the Tigers to join his dad, and we've seen what father-sons can do, so who knows what form young Billy can get from being under Kev. Jordan Pereira from the Dragons. It's an average signing. He has his moments, but when he stands out, he could be great at this club. And the big one, Adam Reynolds from the South Sydney Rabbitohs is joining the Brisbane Broncos. I can't wait to see him in those colours. There is some big losses though. Alex Glenn due to retirement. Xavier Coates is off to the Melbourne Storm. And Anthony Milford is off to the South Sydney Rabbitohs with Tavita Pangai Jr. off to the Bulldogs. So look, there's some very interesting moves about the Broncos. I'm really excited what's going on in the club's background. Make sure you guys like this video and comment. We'll be getting out another season review on Wednesday afternoon. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're new around here. Let me know what you thought of the Brisbane Broncos season. I think the back half was great. The first half, they can't be starting like that once again. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you guys later.